This is Ryan Finkelstein, the host of Locked On Mets, and what a day. Yes, Carlos Correa, a Met. Better news? I don't know about better news. That's a little bit harsh on James McCann, but come on, guys. We got to be happy he's out the books. The New York Mets have traded James McCann to the Baltimore Orioles for, we have no idea. They got McCann off the books. A player to be named later. $19 million of the $24 million owed to James McCann. Steve Cohen's eating it. So you'd hope that maybe you get a decent player to be named later in return, because James McCann at $5 million for 2 years as a backup catcher to Adley Rutschman, not a bad deal for Baltimore. They get a veteran to help their young catcher along who was fantastic. I mean, you could make an argument he was like a top 5 catcher in baseball this year. But from the Mets perspective, you clear out McCann. That's what you had to do. That's why you signed Narvaez. We knew that a trade was coming. We just weren't sure when. Here it is. You got Narvaez and Nido platooning to start the season. You could take your time with Francisco Alvarez. You don't have to make any quick moves there. You can just let him develop in the minor leagues, let him get ready to catch, and hopefully by season's end, Alvarez could earn a promotion and be able to catch your veteran rotation in the playoffs, because that's how the Mets offense would be at its best. But also, if Narvaez is hidden and Nito's doing well and your team is humming along, Alvarez, might have to spend a year in Syracuse. It just depends on how the season progresses. But what the Mets have done by making the moves they have so far this offseason is they have given their prospects time to actually get to the big leagues and not have to really worry about it, right? For Brett Beatty, you're not the starting third baseman. That's Carlos Correa. Now you're probably going to work in left field. And, you can at some point maybe push Mark Canha to the bench if he adjusts to playing the outfield and if he hits well in Syracuse, or if he just wins the job in spring training. For Alvarez, it's a 20-year-old catcher who needs that seasoning behind the dish instead of being forced into action because the Mets need his bat. They've gotten all the pieces in place. They got Narvaez to catch with Nido. They got McCann off the books because McCann, let's be honest, was terrible last season. And you move on from there and you let your prospects take their time. The Mets have really been focusing on not trading their key prospects, but also it's important to develop them properly. So a great move across the board. When you're already spending as much money as Steve Cohen is, what's eating $19 million on James McCann? I mean, that's just an additional luxury tax penalty, honestly. It's, oops, we made a mistake. Was that their mistake? That was their mistake, right? That was the first year. Trying to think back. That was 2021 was his first season. Yeah, so that was, I guess, probably the biggest mistake of the Mets ownership so far, was signing James McCann instead of trying to land JT Realmuto all those times ago. But now you get off that mistake. You move on from it. For the Orioles, it's not a bad trade for them. I mean, like I said, at $5 million, McCann's a really good backup. But for the Mets, doesn't really matter who the player is. You clear the roster spot. That's one less roster spot needed. The Mets were at 42 with Correa coming in, with Narvaez coming in. Now you have that spot for Narvaez locked up, and we'll see what they do to make room for Carlos Correa. Show tomorrow is going to be about Steve Cohen and the Mets becoming an evil empire. So stay tuned for that one. We will wait on that, and I did record it prior to this move, but regardless, love it. Love it for the Mets. Get McCann off the books, and we'll see what the next move is for Steve Cohen and company. Are they going to let us chill on Christmas, or are we seeing nothing but moves? Because Cohen obviously has no gripes about making deals on Hanukkah, because he is just making moves left and right. We'll give Billy Epler some credit, particularly on this one. This is definitely an Epler move to find a partner to get him off the books.